Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So today we are in almost the last section, maybe mostly the last session in the first 6 chapters discussion. We are in the last section of the 6th chapter. Today we will complete the chapter probably, and we will do a review, and we will also be doing discussion about the second open book question of this unit. Before we start, let us do a quick prayers to Guru Parampara of seeking their blessings. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sa Agrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lankayati girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Offering our respects to Lord Shri Krishna, the speaker of Bhagavadgita. Prapanna Parijataya Stotra Vetraika Parnaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Amrita Duhe Namah. Let us quickly recite the shlokas, the second part shlokas. You can all unmute. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha yaktva deham pumarjanma naiti mameti
So Arjuna
tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena devaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas यही संस्पर्शजा भोग दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मनः श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः. So we have been discussing the 6th chapter, in which we have started discussing the third section, the destination of the unsuccessful yogi. In the last session we had on Monday, we were discussing this question by Arjuna, which comes in the 36th, yeah, 36. What happens to someone who took to the path of yoga in good faith, but he could not keep up, he could not held on to that path of yoga? This is the question in 37. Ayatihi shraddhayopeto yogat shalitamanasa aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. So this question which Arjuna asking is to doubly confirm an assurance which Krishna has given in the second chapter. In the second chapter, Krishna spoke about how in this path of the auspicious paths, starting from Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and concluding in Bhakti Yoga, these all paths, whatever progress a person makes, there is never decrease in that accomplishment. The famous shloka is, how does it start? There is no loss or diminution, is it not? How does it start? Neha bhikramana nashaha asti pratyavayah na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So there was an assurance Krishna gave in the second chapter, telling that my devotee, especially, whatever progress he makes in this path will never be lost. In fact, he will be saved from the greatest danger, even if he does a little progress. And that statement is getting doubly confirmed in this last section of 6th chapter. So just to give a recap, Arjuna asked two questions in this chapter. First question was telling how this path of Ashtanga Yoga is very difficult. He told it as practically impossible to control the mind. He raised that question. So Arjuna asked that question. So Krishna answered, telling that yes, surely it is difficult, but it is possible by two methods. Any of you remember what were those two methods? Krishna told two methods to control the mind.
Practice and detachment.
Yeah, practice and detachment. Abhyasa and vairagya. And then afterwards, Arjuna asked this question, which is the discussion now. What happens to an unsuccessful yogi? So let us quickly go to that shloka 6. I think we stopped at 30. Sorry, I think we just started 40. Can
40.
someone come? We started 40?
We
completed. Sorry.
We completed 40. Great. So let's see the translation of it. Please read the translation of the 40 shloka on the screen.
I'll read, Roj.
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Krita, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet the destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil.
Evil. So never overcome by evil. O Tata, Durgatim na gacchati. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit Durgatim Tata gacchati. Kaschit Durgatim Tata gacchati. Durgati means an evil fate, or an evil result will never happen to one who has started this auspicious path. In this shloka, the key word is kalyana krit. Kalyana krit means an auspicious path. See the translation Prabhupada gives. One who is engaged in auspicious activities. So if you see the purport, Prabhupada devotes a lot of discussion on what is it means auspicious. So there was a hierarchical description that among all the jivas in the human body, there are two broad categories. I will quickly show that in the screen because it becomes easier to understand. There are two broad categories. The first is called regulated. Why regulated? Because they are following Shastras, Vedic scriptures. So that path regulated, that category is called auspicious. That's one level of auspicious. And non-regulated means they don't care to follow Shastras, due to which they are bound in this world and repeatedly face miseries, which are inevitable in this world. So in the first section, that is regulated, there are further divisions. There are 3 divisions further. First is karma, second is jnana, and third is bhakti. Yeah. So these 3 was explained by Prabhupada. This is all described in Prabhupada's purport only. And Prabhupada says, actually, in this further division, if we see, the karma path has 2 subcategories, sakam and nishkam. So nishkam is auspicious, jnana is auspicious, bhakti is surely auspicious. So that's the second level of auspiciousness described. Now, Prabhupada further goes on to say the third level of auspiciousness, which is the highest, that is at the level of bhakti. So the first was following Shastra. The second was, yes, following Shastra, but not for a selfish purpose, for a fruitive purpose. And the third was to really act for pleasing Krishna, that is bhakti. That's the third level of auspicious. So all these 3 levels of auspiciousness path, they will never face an evil destination, durgati. That's what Krishna is promising in the shloka. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tata gachati. So in that sense, anyone who takes to this ladder of yoga, which actually starts from nishkama and above, jnana and above, he will never face a very bad destiny or a very bad end like that. So what will happen actually to such a person? Krishna describes from the shloka 41 onwards, especially what will happen in his next life, what kind of birth he gets in the next life. So let us see 41. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati sama शुचीनाम श्रीमताम गेहे योग भ्रष्टोभिजायते. So the shloka says prapya punya kritam. So a person who has done a little progress in this path, in that there are 2 categories Prabhupada describes. The first category is his destination in the next life, what kind of birth he gets is told in this shloka. The next shloka tells the second category, or an advanced practitioner of yoga, what he will get. So the first category, that is a little progress, what he will achieve in the next life, what kind of birth, that's explained here. Prapya punya kritam lokam. So he attains punya kritam lokam. That means he attains heavenly enjoyment. Punya kritam. He did a lot of whatever the yoga practice he did, it will, and there were some material desires also. So Krishna, what he blesses that person with, he gives him the opportunities to fulfill those desires. So he may get very great material enjoyment. And after he completes that, ushitva shashvati samaha. So he will enjoy that for a long time. Then he will get birth in Shuchinam. Shuchinam means, can you see the word to word meaning? Shuchinam. See the word to word meaning?
Of the pious.
Of the pious. Yes, of the pious. Usually Shuchi, the word Shaucham, that's the quality, which is one of the very defining qualities of Brahmanas. So a person who is a Shuchi, so Prabhupada also says righteous people in the translation. And then the second is Shrimatam. Shri means wealth. Shrimatam means one who is possessed with good amount of wealth. Shrimatam, that is Vaishyas. So either he may get birth in a righteous family which has a Brahminical culture, or he may get birth in a Shrimatam family, that is aristocratic birth. What kind of person will get such a birth? Yoga Bhrashta. Bhrashta means one who could not fulfill or hold on to Bhrashta, Yoga Bhrashta. He could not continue yoga. So he will get in the next life this kind of birth. Abhijayate, like that. Can someone, Mataji, can you read the translation ahead?
Yes, Prabhu. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entity, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocrats.
So the first type of yoga bhrashta, that is, he did a little practice of yoga and he could not continue. He had a incapacity to follow, and next life he gets good amount of enjoyment. After he completes it, he will get either righteous birth, that is Brahmana birth, or rich aristocracy, that is a Vaishya, or it could even mean Kshatriya. So Prabhupada describes that a little in the purport. So he tells the unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One who is fallen after a little progress, another who is after long practice. So this shloka, which is actually telling about the first class of first category of the yoga. Now the second category is described in the next. Okay, so there is some description here. Can you read this paragraph, the real purpose, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed, by the grace of Lord, to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facility and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness.
So Lord Krishna, he sees, okay, my this yoga practitioner who wants to come to me has some desires to fulfill. Let him. I will give the facilities. So he gives, it's told here, Prabhupada says, by the grace of the Lord, he is allowed to make full utilization of the material propensities. So he is given that opportunity. And after that, he is given those births also. So Prabhupada explains that. Before, Prabhupada also told here, after they go to the higher planets, and then one is sent back to take birth in this Brahmana, Vaishnava, or Vaishya families. The second type of unsuccessful yogis destination, that is explained in the next shloka. That shloka begins with Athava. That shows that difference. Athava yoginam eva.
Athava
yoginam eva.
Kule bhavati dhimata.
Kule bhavati dhimata.
Etadhi durlabhataram.
Etadhi durlabhataram.
Loke janma yadi drisham.
Loke janma yadi drisham.
So Athava means another category. Athava means you are talking about the second type of personality. So that's why this is told as an advanced yogi practitioner who could not continue. So yoginam, what will happen to him? Kule bhavati dhimata. So there was a word in the earlier shloka called Shrimata. You know, Shri means well, and here the word used is dhimata. So what is dhi? Any of you know? Dhi. Like Gayatri.
मतलब who are intelligent or use.
Yeah, that's the sense of intelligence. Dhimahi. Let me meditate or think about Dhiman. That's the Gayatri's ending. Or Buddhi, Dhira, all these words originate from that word Dhi. So Dhimatam. One who is actually endowed with great wisdom. See the words translation of Prabhupada. They are so apt. So such a person will take birth in Dhimatam Kule, our learned people's family. He will take birth. In fact, Prabhupada translates later as transcendentalist family. A real intelligence is to understand spiritual wisdom. That's the highest knowledge, in fact. Among all types of knowledge, Adhyatma Vidya is considered as the highest. Krishna says it later. So, such a intelligent person's family, this Yoga Bhrashta will take birth. Because this is considered Durlabhataram. Durlabhataram means very rare. Such a birth is very rare. So, Prabhupada gives a very interesting purport. In fact, he goes on to give his own example in this. So, let us read the translation. Can you read it, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth into a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, just a birth is rare in this world.
It's very rare in this world. So, sometimes a person who has practiced for long period, he also can have this kind of slip or fall. It can happen even in the bhakti path. What to talk about in the other paths also. See, in this world, which is filled with so many obstacles, which is very unfavorable, in fact, there is so much of possibilities of a person getting swayed from the path of yoga. In fact, Srila Prabhupada would often say, last time I did mention that, if someone is continuing to practice devotional service consistently, that's a great success. That's why when we see someone who has been practicing devotional service for many years, we should, with no other consideration, just bow down our heads to it really requires a great determination just to continue doing what one is doing day after day after day. So externally one may accomplish a lot, but really the sign of progress spiritually is to steadily, consistently continue doing devotional activities. So one should always respect such people, such devotees. So Srila Prabhupada also told another place actually, that sometimes even greatly learned, sometimes advanced yogis also can fall. In the Bhagavatam, there are certain examples of it. There are many reasons for that. There could be reasons of offense. There could be reasons of some neglect. There could be reasons sometimes even by Lord himself. Lord himself wants that to happen. It could also be like that because there could be some lessons which Lord may want to teach. So there could be such kind of lapses in the practice. So no matter whatever is the reason, but such a person's devotional progress is never lost. That's the point. In fact, he will get another opportunity, a better opportunity to continue the practice. In this context, Srila Prabhupada once told, especially when he was seeing the children of his disciples, who were so spontaneously practicing devotional service, they were so lovingly chanting the names of Krishna. He called those children as Vaikuntha children. He told that point that basically he told in one room, morning walk conversation also, telling that these are actually great yogis, and they could not complete their accomplishment or success of their path. They have taken birth in the devotee families, and if we just provide the right environment, everything, they will complete that, and this could be their last life. So a person who takes birth in the devotional families, especially to devotees families, he has a great opportunity to perfect his life and complete his existence in this world, actually. So there could be such kind of souls. So Prabhupada in the purport makes a very interesting comment, actually. Why this kind of birth is called Durlabhataram, that he explains. Mataji, can you read the highlighted part?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters.
So the family which is mentioned, Dhimatam Kule, it refers actually to the families like Acharya or Goswami families. Because in these families, there is a very good culture. There is that tradition, practice, which has been coming generation after generation. And there is training for becoming spiritually advanced. So such people, in fact, become spiritual masters. So Prabhupada also goes on to say, sometimes people may not make use of that opportunity. They may lapse, and they can remain just for namesake Goswamis or Acharya. Sometimes people have those surnames, but spiritually they may not have any inclination towards it. You see some people having those surnames. That shows that they had that kind of a tradition or a culture in their generations earlier. But because of not keeping that up, now that person is hardly practicing spirituality. So Prabhupada, in fact, he goes on to quote his own self and his spiritual master in this regard. Read it.
Fortunately, both our spiritual master,
Yeah.
Om Vishnupadaya Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of Lord. And both of us were trained in devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by order of transcendental system.
Yes. So we can see the great. We can try to recollect the childhoods of these great souls. I was just recently recollecting at the Dham of Jagannath Puri, this great soul Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared. And in fact, he also departed from this world at that place. And there are so many wonderful leelas he performed. And Srila Prabhupada, he appeared to the family of Abhaichar, Day, the family of Days in Calcutta. And that was also a pure Vaishnava family. Prabhupada dedicates his, I think, Krishna book, if I'm not wrong, to his father. And he tells, to my father who was a pure Vaishnava, he nurtured in me that desire to serve Radha and Krishna. He dedicates his book to his father. So both of them had this great, very rare births, in the family of Dhimatam, great wisdom or transcendentalists. So Prabhupada is quoting this. So Krishna told what is the destination of two types of unsuccessful yogis. What's the first type? And what will be the destination? What's the first type?
Short.
Type is little progress in devotional service.
Correct.
And it will go to the heavenly planets.
Very good. And
other one is a long-term service. No.
You have to continue that.
Continuous service. Then it will take the birth in the transcendentalist devotees family.
Yeah. So in the first category, there is something more to add there. They will go to the heavenly planets and they will enjoy material happiness, and then they take birth in Brahmana or a Vaishya family. So somebody may say, why Brahmana and Vaishya family? Because in Brahmana family, there is a possibility of more continuing advancement. And in Vaishya family, because there is already material well-being provided. So he need not worry about earning livelihood, making some living in this world. He can dedicate more time for spiritual advance. So Krishna offered that opportunity to such a yogi like that. Now, at the same time, I always quote this shloka. Kunti Maharani tells one shloka that 4 things cause obstacles in the path of bhakti. And if you remember that,
Wealth,
Yes, Prabhuji.
beauty,
Wealth,
wealth,
aristocratic
beauty,
birth.
Janmaishwarya Shruta Shridhir Edhamana Mada Kuma. That's the word actually. Yes. So wealth, someone told some words. Wealth, then beauty, then anything more? Wealth, beauty, then anything more? Wealth, that
Education, Prabhu.
is
Education.
correct. That is yes. Janma
And
is high
beauty.
birth. Aishwarya means
Aristocratic
wealth.
birth.
Correct. Aristocratic birth.
Birth,
Janma, then
wealth,
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 that is
and
Aishwarya, then Shruta.
education and
Yes,
beauty.
Shruta, and Shri, that is beauty. Yes. So these 4 things actually can make a person become puffed up. Actually, these 4 things in itself are not the obstacles. If you see the shloka carefully, it says Janmaishwarya Shruta Shridhir Edhamana Madaha Puman. Mada. Mad aa jata hai usko. He becomes intoxicated. That's the word Prabhupada uses. So those 4 things are actually results of piety. If someone does some punya, then he can get in good birth next life. He can get good wealth, good beauty, good education. So these are usually the results of piety, but there is the other side of it, that he can become arrogant, or he can become puffed up, because of which he may commit offenses, and that's what becomes an obstacle for bhakti. Okay. Now, usually people say, "Arey, if Krishna says, Kunti is saying there, Aishwarya and Janma is the cause of obstacle, then why is Krishna providing here birth in a family of educated people or brahmanas and wealthy people like this? Why is he placing the person in an obstacle filled atmosphere? No, it's not really like that. It should be seen as Krishna wants to give that opportunity so that a jiva can use it properly for advance. He can always misuse it, is it not? The misuse of free will can make even the best situation worse, is it not? Like that. So usually the people referred as Shrimatam are those who are not inclined to commit sin. When a person gets a lot of wealth, he becomes so inclined to enjoy, and even goes in the direction of sinful activities. But these people who are wealthy, but they are very pious. So that is what is referred by Krishna as Shrimatam Gehe, like that. So that was an additional point. So just to quickly recap, there are 2 types of unsuccessful yogis: little progress and long practice or much progress. Little progress, they go to heavens and they complete their material propensities, and they may take birth in Brahmana or a Vaishya family. And the long practiced yogis, if they are unsuccessful, what happens to them?
They take birth in transcendentalist family.
In the family of Prasad. Okay. Now, Krishna has given a very good situation. Now, what happens after they get those situations? They have taken birth in those situations. Now, what they will be doing? That is explained in the 43. Tatratam buddhi samyogam
Tatratam buddhi samyogam
yugam,
labhate paurvadehikam
labhate
paurvadehikam
parvadehikam,
yatate cha tato bhuya
Yate
Yate Jatato
Samsiddhau Kuru Nandana.
Samsiddhau Kuru Nandana.
Krishna says, Tatra. After getting that kind of a birth, Tatra, in that situation, what will happen? They will actually be now continuing from what they had left off. Labhate Paurvadehikam. They have some, some things are very easy for them because they have done that homework in the earlier part. So Paurvadehikam, in their Purvadeha, their earlier body, they have done that progress. So that naturally is a, is already a gain for them. Like I don't have any better example. In a test match, in the second innings, one usually has that gain of the first innings deficit or whatever, or in a marathon or in a the run and the cycle, relay, whatever they call, laps, many laps. So they automatically are placed ahead. Whatever they have done earlier is added on in their further progress. Yatate cha tato bhuya. So they can quickly come to certain level because that amount of practice they have done in their past life. Now from that stage, they want to exert or endeavor higher. Sometimes we see it's very much an experience, I believe for all of you too, that some people, they come, and they make so quick progress in bhakti. They are able to quickly chant, come to 16 rounds, and they are quickly learning so many devotional skills, say kartal, mridang, or they are able to understand some spiritual concepts, doing services nicely like that. So they quickly take that leap. How? Because they have done that kind of an effort the earlier stage. Paurvadeka. Yatate chatato bhuyah samsiddhau. So after gaining that achievement of the last practice, now they want to continue and attain perfection, which is called samsiddhi. Hey Kuru Nandana. Now they want to continue from where they had left off after taking such a birth. Someone else want to take the reading? Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, someone else would like to?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read.
Please.
On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. O son of Guru.
O son of Guru. So he revives the divine consciousness. Buddhi samyogam labhate. So Prabhupada gives an example, very famous example, that is Bharata. In Bhagavatam, we see this, how he had a devotional progress continuing across the lifetimes. He was a king. Later, he was a deer animal. And later, he became again a Shuchina, if you can say, or a Bhimata. Also say that. He got a very transcendentalist atmosphere. And he continued his devotional practices. So Prabhupada says in the purport that, read this last line.
Yes, Prabhuji. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunity for complete perfection Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. So there is so hope-giving statement here. The Lord gives repeated opportunities for perfecting Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Just see how merciful is the Lord. Sometimes we desire something else than devotional service, due to which we may leave the path of devotion. Nonetheless, in that distracted path, also Krishna brings an opportunity to practice devotional service. Prabhupada makes that very famous statement, I believe in nectar of devotion. We will study that soon. That once, it comes in Bhagavatam also, once a jiva has taken to devotional path, he will be dragged towards perfection. He will be dragged. Means He may himself not be willing to continue that path of perfection, but Krishna will drag him, even if it is not his desire. He wants to give that perfection. So that's why Krishna gives repeated opportunities. In our own practice of devotional service, we can reflect on sometimes, oh, I really did not desire, but yet Krishna gave the opportunity. I again did not want it to, but yet Krishna brought me. Is it not? That shows Krishna's very great interest in bringing us back to devotional service. There are other examples in Bhagavatam also of such a journey across the lifetimes. Like one famous is Gajendra. Gajendra is also another example. He was a king, then he became an animal, that is elephant, and yet again after that he attained perfection. Ajamila, in that one life itself, he could see those phases and he attained perfection. Like that in Bhagavatam, there are many such examples come. So, Prabhu Krishna continues to describe such a unsuccessful yogi's practice, how he very naturally has a taste to continue that spiritual practice. He has that attraction to spiritual path. So let's see this shloka which describes this. Purvabhyasena tenaiva
Purvabhyasena tenaiva
hriyate hyavashopi saha
hiyate hayavsho
jignasur api yogasya
jigyasu arpyogasya
shabda brahmati vartate.
shabda brahmati vartate.
So because he has done abhyasa in his earlier life, abhyasa means practice. Purva abhyasa, preparatory practice he has done. Now that gives him so much of benefit. He is now able to reap the benefit of it. Hriyate, the important word in this shloka is hriyate. Hriyate means, any of you please tell the meaning? What's the meaning of hriyate?
Attracted.
Attracted. So because he has done a devotional progress in the earlier life, now he is very naturally attracted to those principles of devotional service. And he quickly rises above the ritualistic path, which is told as Shabda Brahma. The ritualistic path, which is Karma Kanda, that's all considered as Shabda Brahma. He rises above it. So please read the translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stand always above the ritualistic principle of the scriptures.
So how he gets attracted to yogic principles, especially the pure devotional principles, is explained here. Usually, when a jiva comes to the path of yoga, that is starting from following Shastras, he gets a lot of time spent in karma kanda. To rise above just that itself is a very great achievement in one sense. It's a very bewildering. Krishna tells in the second chapter as Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham. It's a very flowery word, it's very attractive. The promise of material enjoyment, which is told in the scriptures. Oh, yeah, if you do this, you get this, you get this. Wow. So everyone becomes naturally inclined. In fact, sometimes their desires get increased when they read Vedic scriptures, is it not? So, to rise above all of that is a great achievement for conditioned soul. But for some who has done this yoga practice in the earlier life, they are easily able to rise above this. They get inclined towards the pure devotional principles. So Prabhupada in the purport quotes a very famous shloka from Bhagavatam, which tells a person who has awakened a desire for devotional service because he had done a little in his earlier life. Now he quickly rises above all the other karma kanda methods. He quotes this sloka which is told by Devahuti in the third canto. Mother Devahuti speaks how a person who chants the holy name, even though he is born in a very low family, very sinful background, he has to be understood as someone who has completed all the karmakanda activities, tapasyas, yajnas, all that. He has crossed all of that. In fact, he becomes higher than even a non-devotee brahmana, karmakandiya brahmana, like that. So she exclaims on the power of holy name. Aho bata. Aho means, wow, what is the power of this holy name, you see? So Prabhupada quotes this glory of holy name, how Lord Chaitanya explained it. Read this, Mataji. It's very
Yes,
important.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The famous example of this presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting.
Of chanting. So he used to chant 3 lakh names, is it not? So because of this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not see his low birth. He declared him to be the Namacharya. Little below, please read that.
Yes, and because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life he must have passed through all the ritualistic method of the Vedas, known as Shabda Brahma.
Shabda Brahma. So all that path, all that lifetimes of progress, going through that path is quickly risen above by the practice of devotional service. That's the mercy, actually. So the word Shabda Brahmati Vartate, that is explained as the main point of the purport. How when one takes to devotional service, he has gone through that lifetimes of practice which one has to do in that karma kanda path, like that. So now Krishna kind of concludes this chapter by describing some of the very important features of a yogi's progress. When he has gotten such a privileged opportunity to progress now, how he determines to practice. He puts his greatest effort to practice. He doesn't want to take another chance. He already had a lapse. Krishna gave another opportunity. So now that yogi is very determined to practice. So it's told in this next shloka. Prayatnad yatamanastu
Pratnada Yatamanastu
yogi samshuddha kilbisha
Yogi Samshuddha Kilbishaha
aneka janma samsiddhas
Aneka Janma Samsiddhas
tato yati param gatim.
Tato Yati Param Gatim.
Such a yogi, he is so determined, he puts his great effort, prayatnad yatamanastu. He understands, I have gotten this opportunity, I don't want to again do that same mistake or fall into that illusion. And he's so focused. He wants to be free of all the kilbisha. Kilbisha means contamination. Samshuddha kilbisha. He wants to be purified of all contamination. So he very determinedly endeavors and ultimately crosses aneka janma samsiddha, crossing across many perfections of many births, and now he attains param gatim, the supreme goal, which is actually a spiritual one, the lotus feet of the Lord. So in that sense, Krishna described what has been described is, even if a person started the yoga path and fell, what will happen to him? And even if a person who did a long-term practice and he had a fall, how Krishna protects his progress and gives him an opportunity, and how that jiva continues and ultimately attains perfection. So that's how the thought flow has been explained here. Read the translation. And
when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection, after many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal.
yes, usually it is told that in the paths of karma, jnana, and yoga, it takes many lives to attain perfection. And the progress they make is always protected and is built upon in their next lives, like that. Read the highlighted part. A person
Born in a particularly righteous and aristocratic, austere family becomes sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleans himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contamination, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness.
If you carefully note, Prabhupada used those simple words. Righteous means Shuchinam. Aristocratic means Shrimatam, which are the Krishna given opportunities for a little progress yogi. Then sacred family. This means Dhimatam Kule. This is a Krishna given opportunity for an advanced practitioner who had a lapse or who could not succeed. So after getting a favorable condition, he with determination, he begins his unfinished task. Now I really don't want to again take a chance. I want to complete it. So like that, he resolves into practice, and then he attains perfection. So ultimately, the highest perfection is attaining the lotus feet of the Lord, for which Prabhupada describes that shloka, bhajante mam dridha vrata. After many lifetimes of piety, one gets the determination and attains that firm determination and attains the lotus feet of bhajante. That's this. So in this last section of 6th chapter, what we see actually is how a yogi's progress is preserved, even if sometimes he had a lapse, and how it is further helped, facilitated. How Krishna helps such a person, such a yogi. Now, Krishna becomes a little more focused in the next 2 shlokas, which are like the last 2 shlokas of this chapter. He wants to really say, because yoga path is a very long path, there are many types of yoga. He wants to really point out the highest practice of yoga, the best yoga. And that's how he wants to inspire Arjuna to become that type of a yogi. So he describes that in the 46th and 47th, which are like the last 2 shlokas of this chapter, describing the topmost yogi. Then 46 and 47, that's the last section of this chapter. Tapasvibhyodhiko yogi.
Tapasvibhyodhiko yogi.
Jnanibhyopi matodhika.
Jnanibhyo api matodhika.
Karmibhyashchadhiko yogi.
Karmibhyashchadhiko yogi.
Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna.
Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna.
So yogi, this word is used in a little general sense here. What does that mean? A yogi who has realized super soul. That's the word. Yogi means a person who has realized super soul. Okay. So such a person who has realized super soul, he is far greater. Tapasvibhyah adhikaha. Adhika means superior. To whom? Tapasvis. He is superior to those who are just doing tapasya. but they don't have understanding of Atma. They're just trying to torture their body. In that sense, they want to deflect the miseries which come because of material nature. So that is tapasvi. He may not have Atma Jnana, but he is doing tapasya. So such a person, in fact, yogi is superior to such a person. Super soul realized person, that is yogi, is superior to such a tapasvi. Then the second line says, Jnani bhyopi mato adhika. Jnani. Jnani means a person who has, who is in the path of speculation. He has not understood yet the personal understanding of absolute truth, the super soul and Bhagavan. So the yogi who is super soul realized, he is far better than a learned person who is not yet understood the personal understanding. He is still in the impersonal path. A yogi, the third line says, he is far better than those who are following the fruitive activities, karmis, karma path. So Arjuna, you should understand the super soul and rise above all these lower practices of tapasya without Atma Jnana, Jnana without personal understanding, and surely karma path you should rise above. You should become that yogi. See that super soul is sitting everywhere, and try to please that super soul by your performance of duties. So Krishna is, in one sense, telling that super soul, he is great. If you realize him, then you will also become great. Like that. In the next shloka, he will tell what is his relationship with super soul. That will come in the next shloka. Okay. Read the translation of this, Matri.
Yes, Prabhuji. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and the greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi.
Ascetic means tapasvi, who does austerity. Empiricist means one who, out of his own intelligence, tries to understand the world. Empirical knowledge, it's called. He is a gnani. And of course, fruitive worker means karma. So, yogi is better than all these three categories. So, you become a yogi. Now, if you carefully note, the shloka says tapasvi, jnani, karmi as inferior to yoga. But it doesn't say one category. It doesn't
Bhakta. Bhakta.
Bhakta. And Prabhupada fixed that point actually. Yogi is higher than karma, jnana, tapasya, all that. But he is not higher than bhakta. You will see in Prabhupada's word. Read this part, Prabhupada.
Yes, when we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, is called the Bhakti yoga.
So, if you remember, we had studied this ladder. In this chapter itself, we had seen this in great detail, which is called yoga ladder. It's a path which is leading to Krishna. So in that sense, all of these methods are leading to Krishna. Even though it's karma kanda, it's one step, and it's closer, right? Compared to animal life, it's a step which is towards Krishna. Similarly, Jnana Yoga is one step closer. Another step closer is Dhyana. Another step closer is surely Bhakti is the platform which is the closest to Krishna, is it not? So all these paths are leading to Krishna. So when a yoga term is used in a generic sense, it means something which connects one to Krishna. And how can one connect to Krishna? There are many ways by which one connects to Krishna. The first way is at least do one's activities and connect to Krishna through activities. That's karma. That is called karma. And there is connection which can happen through one's intelligence. That is called as jnana yoga. It is called. There is a connection which can happen through one's mind or meditation. That is dhyana yoga. So activities, which is our body and senses, then intelligence, that is jnana yoga. Then there is mind, which is which path? Mind was
Dhyana Yoga.
which was that path? Dhyana yoga. Yes. So these are different faculties of the soul. Okay? The soul is enveloped in a material covering. If someone is unmuted, please. Yeah. Thank you. So the soul is enveloped by material covering. There is subtle body and the gross. So the gross body is the activities or the body, right? So if you connect to Krishna only through gross covering, that is karma. And as it goes deeper and deeper, the ladder becomes higher and higher. Okay. So at the level of jnana, it's intelligence. At the level of dhyana, it is mind or meditation. And that's what Prabhupada describes in this purport, if you see. When it is predominantly in devotional relationship, when it goes to the devotional relationship, it's actually through one's heart, one's very desire is connected with the Supreme Lord. Okay, one may be connected to Krishna through activities, but his mind and intelligence may not be connected. One may be connected to Krishna by activities and now by intelligence, but mind may not be connected. Mind may be still running towards sense objects of this. One may be connected to Krishna through activities, intelligence, and mind, but yet one's heart or desire may not be served to Krishna. Yet, so that's the stage of bhakti which is ahead. So this is how yoga ladder has to be seen. There is a progression here. So Prabhupada describes further how bhakti is superior. Can you read this? The Lord has
confirmed here in the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge and therefore nothing can excel it.
So in the path, I'm showing something more on the screen here. In the path of progress, people, they may want to understand higher truths in life through various engagements. One is by engagements of their body. Oh, let me do something noble. Let me do something charitable or beneficial for others. That's the level of karma. Karma phala tyaga, it is called. Then the stage comes of study and understanding this world, jignasa. Then the stage comes of dhyana. Then ultimately the stage comes of offering one's heart. So sometimes we hear this statement that how bhakti yoga, it includes all the methods. It includes karma yoga, not karma kand, karma yoga. It includes jnana yoga. It includes dhyana yoga, and it is something more. So this concept, this is one of the questions in your open book. What I'm addressing is that actually, that how bhakti is all accommodating. Whatever results the other paths are giving, what are promising, is naturally given by the practice of bhakti yoga. So bhakti yoga is that superset. I remember in that algebra, there used to be something called superset. I'm sorry if I am using two techniques. So there is something which is a bigger body, which is in fact the highest reservoir. And there is small reservoirs, which are called subsets. So the bhakti is that superset. Or like people now sometimes use that word, one-stop shop. something like that. Huh? You get everything in that one place. Huh? So Bhakti Yoga, it includes the other yoga paths. How? In the other yoga paths, say about Karma Yoga, what is a person trying to connect with the, he's surely trying to connect with Lord, but what is the faculty he's engaging? He is engaging his senses or the body, right? So that's how he's connecting. In the path of Jnana Yoga, as we saw earlier, it is through intelligence he is connecting to the Supreme. In the path of Ashtanga Yoga, he is connecting to the Supreme Lord through his mind or meditation. Okay. Now, let us reflect on this little. When a pure devotee is practicing, when you see his activities, is he engaging his senses? Is he connecting to Krishna through his actions? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, surely. Like, say, suppose an example, let's take an example. Say Yashoda Mata. Just now Damodar Mas completed. So she, in the early morning, gets up and she makes great effort. You all have heard this in great detail, I believe, this last 1 month. She does great effort, and she has accumulated the milk from chosen cows. And that day, she herself wants to, manthan, wants to make butter. So she is doing activities, and through that activities, why is she doing that activities? She wants to serve Krishna. So through those activities, she is connected to Krishna. In the path of Bhakti Yoga, a devotee is naturally connected to Krishna through activity. So that is already done. In the path of Jnana Yoga, a person connects through intelligence. So now let's see about Yashoda Devi. So what is she thinking? She's thinking, oh, my Kana, he always is. I hear complaints that he goes to steal butter from others' house. Maybe I'm not doing it good. Maybe my maid servants, I tell, that's why they're not doing, he doesn't like it. I will do. I will do myself. And now I don't want to hear that Kana is going to others' house. So she's thinking through her intelligence, she's thinking about the Supreme Lord. And that's what the path of Jnana Yoga is about. So a Bhakta is using his intelligence for connecting to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavadgita later, Krishna will say this, how a great jnani, after many, many lifetimes, he comes to Krishna. Bahunam Janmanam. And by mind, he is also connected to Krishna. How? Yashoda, when she is doing that service, she's so much thinking about Krishna. In fact, she is composing poems describing the activities of Krishna. She is wanting to remember the activities of Krishna. That remembrance aspect is actually an aspect of Ashtanga or Dhyana. So a devotee is naturally already an Ashtanga in a true sense. So a devotee, in essence, is Karma Yogi also, Jnana Yogi also, Ashtanga Yogi also. But there is something more. What is that something more? That now he wants to offer his heart to Krishna. Not just senses, intelligence, and mind, but his heart. What does that mean, offering heart? That means he really wants to please that person. A jnani, a yogi may remember, may connect with Krishna, but that may be for their own desire of, say, mukti, or some perfections. But a yogi who is Bhakti Yogi, he does all this only to please Krishna. That's the last aspect of heart. And that will come so graphically in the next shloka. The shloka which is coming next is considered as the crest jewel of this the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. You will see this shloka, which is 47, quoted by Prabhupada in many, many purports. in Bhagavatam, Gita, many places. Because this shloka says how among all the yogis, Bhakti yogi, who is doing bhajan of Krishna, that word bhajate, that is to serve Krishna, to please him, he is the superior, the supreme yogi. Earlier, yogi was shown superior to karmi, jnani, and tapasvi, not to bhakta. We should note that. And now, among the yogis, there are many. Among the yogis, the superior is bhakta. So, like this, Krishna establishes the superiority of bhakti yoga. Let's see this last shloka. Yoginam api sarvesham
Namapi sarvesh
madgatenantaratmana
Madgatenantaratmana
Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam
Shraddhavan bhajate omam
same yuktatamo mata.
Same yukta tamo mata.
So Krishna says yoginam api, of all the yogis, sarvesham yoginam api, among so many types of yogis, so many gradations of yoga, ashtanga yogis, all that, madgaten antaratmana, one who is so much attracted, absorbed in me. His remembrance is so thick. He's so absorbed in me that he has such great faith, Shraddhavan. And with that faith, he does the most important word in this shloka is this bhajati. For this only Prabhupada quotes this shloka so many times. Bhajati. This shows that he is now bhakta. An Ashtanga yogi has reached the stage of Shuddha Bhakti. Such a person, Krishna says, Yuktatama. He uses a superlative degree here. There is good, better, best, right? We say that. Yes, the path of jnana is better or good, Yoga, better. But more than that, best is bhakta. So that gradation Krishna will show that in this, Prabhupada will explain that. So he is the most, he is the superior, he's the super excellent. And that's my opinion, mataha. And if you carefully note, Krishna, he has referred to himself in this shloka. He has used a word called mam. In the earlier shloka, he kept telling super soul, super soul, super soul. And at the end, he could not hold himself. He had to tell the truth, the ultimate truth, that among all the yogis who keep remembering super soul, one who does service to me is superior, the most superior. He had to at the end tell that my devotee is the highest yogi. So it could not be more hidden. The truth came out, actually out of compassion it came out. It's not that Krishna is boasting his superiority, but he is telling the truth for the benefit of all jivas to take advantage of this knowledge. Anyone else would like to read translation?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving services to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. That is my opinion.
My opinion. See, intimately united with me is who is doing service to me. See, that word me has come. That's my opinion. He is the highest. In the purport, Prabhupada catches the most important word, explains it, bhajate. Read the highlighted part.
Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaja, which is used when there is need of service. Worship means to adore and to show respect and honor to the worthy one, but service with a love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous. But,
Discourteous.
but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned.
So Prabhupada actually quotes a very important shloka from Bhagavatam, which actually says, na bhajanti avajananti. Na bhajanti means one who doesn't serve the Supreme Lord, who is called as Purusham, Ishwaram in this shloka. If one doesn't serve him, bhajanti, na bhajanti, and in fact he goes on to disrespect him, avajananti. Such a person will fall from his original position. Sthanad bhrashtat patanti. Patanti means uska patan ho jata. So Prabhupada actually frames that translation in other words earlier. So continuing the same thread, can you read the further highlighted part? Therefore,
bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity.
Actually, there has been a lot of writing about this. When we talk about bhakti, that word has to be used only to the Supreme Lord Krishna or Vishnu. It cannot be used to the devatas like Ganesha, Kali, Shiva, no. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes about it. They use the word called upasana. Upasana could be for devatas, but bhakti is only to Krishna. Because all other worships are with some material motives. If not for material desires, surely there will be motive for some mukti, is it not? Which is also selfish in nature. But bhakti is truly selfless. And that's why it can only be for Krishna. So Prabhupada explains that. So in this purport, actually we see this last thing which is shown here, it has to be read directly. So I have not highlighted because there is a lot to read here. We actually see here in this last purport how bhakti is the supreme, the goal of all the yogas. It's the highest position in the yoga ladder. Prabhupada explains that the culmination means like a mukut, like mukuta means the throne, throne or a crown, that's the better crown. Like a person wears a crown, where does he put the crown? On the head, right? Like that, bhakti is the crown in the all of yoga paths. It's the highest, the culmination, the end, the crown of all the yoga practices is bhakti. Can you read this, Prabhu? This whole paragraph. Yeah.
The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of bhakti yoga. From the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of the path, this path. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called jnana yoga. When jnana yoga increases is on meditation on the super soul by different physical process, and the mind is on him. It is called Ashtanga yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Krishna is called Bhakti yoga. The culmination. Factually, Bhakti yoga is the ultimate goal
So
But-
see, this is the important point here. The culmination or the ultimate goal is Bhakti Yoga. But yet, why did Krishna describe about all the other yoga paths? If Bhakti is the highest, he can directly tell that one. Why to tell all the other yoga paths, their practices, their realizations, and in fact, sometimes it could become more complicated. One may object that. So for that, Prabhupada says, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one should understand these yogas. See, this is, as we earlier were talking about this, it's a comparative study. When we know other paths properly, in the sense, in the essence, we need not go into the practice, specific practices. At least what are they desiring? What is their practice? What is the trajectory they take, and where do they reach at the end? And what Bhakti Yoga is? What is its goal? Where will that practitioner go? How will the lapses in that practice be facilitated by the Lord? In the sense, be made covered up by the Lord, protected by the Lord, all that. So then we actually truly realize the glory of Bhakti. So that's why Krishna, he described all this, and Prabhupada also explains the yogi who is, read this, the yogi who is
progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune.
So yogi who is progressive, he keeps progressing. Okay, karma, then he moved on to jnana, then he moved on to yoga, then he moved on to bhakti. So one who is progressing, not stagnant on one place. If he becomes stagnated, then he is not making progress. So Prabhupada says, one who sticks to a particular point. Read this. One
who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name, karma yogi. Jnana yogi or dhyana yogi, raja yogi, hatha yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of bhakti yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all the yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak to Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mountain Everest, is considered to the culmination.
Culmination means the highest point, culmination. So what so far has been described is how Bhakti Yoga is superior among all the type of yogas. Okay. Earlier I described about how Bhakti Yoga is all encompassing. This word is used in English called all encompassing, means it includes all yogas. If one does Bhakti Yoga, he is also given the results which other path practitioners are offered. That is all encompassing. Now what is described is how Bhakti is superior among all the other yoga paths. This is the second important quality described. Now later, third will come, how Bhakti is independent. So please note these three very important qualities. The first one was, any of you recollect? I'm sorry. Yeah.
First one was the karma yogi.
No. The qualities of Bhakti Yoga which are described.
It is encompassing.
It's all encompassing, or it is all accommodating.
All accommodating.
Yeah. It provides the results which are promised in other paths also. Bhakti Yogi is naturally karma yogi, is naturally jnana, is already a dhyana yogi. But something more. What is that something more? How Bhakti is superior. That's the second description of Bhakti which is coming here. Bhakti is superior. It is highest culmination of all yoga paths. Okay. So like this, we should very minutely study Bhakti's nature. Then our faith in the path of Bhakti becomes very strong. So Prabhupada goes on to describe, in the shloka there is a word which says that he is absorbed or he abides in me. His heart is so much on me. He always is meditating on my beautiful form. What is that form? Actually, that's the form Prabhupada describes as a form
Shyam
of
Sundar.
Krishna in Vrindavan, Shyam Sundar.
Sundar form.
So far, the super soul's form was told. But now the super soul yogi is now a Vrindavan Krishna meditator, who is a Bhagavan meditator, who is a Shuddha Bhakta. So, Prabhupada describes how this form is original form. He is the Swayam Bhagavan, is far, far greater than all the Brahma Jyoti manifestations, other avatars. And this form is what his heart now has got attracted to. And such a yogi is the highest. That's what he described as Yukta Tamaha. Okay. So, like this, Prabhupada very scientifically describes this path of yoga, how karma, jnana, ashtanga are steps towards that ultimate goal. The ultimate is bhakti. And in that bhakti, one who strongly gets attracted to the highest realization of absolute truth, that Bhagavan is the most superior. So how does one actually attain to that? It's so very difficult, it seems, is it not? So for that, Prabhupada offers something very practical. What is that? It says that one should become dedicated to Guru. One should have such a great faith and dedication to Guru. And when one has that, Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau, then he will be revealed, all the knowledge will be revealed in his heart. Then he becomes so firmly situated in the path of that bhakti. So Prabhupada at the end quotes a very famous long description of bhakti, which is given actually in Upanishad. I would just request to please read the English meaning of it, Prabhu. This is very important. Let's not skip. Bhakti means
devotional. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclination, one should fully observe the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Nishkarma.
Naishkarmya. Naishkarmya means the Nishkama karma's perfected situation. Naishkarmya. It's a Upanishadic shloka. Yeah, Naishkarmya. So Prabhupada kind of ends the purport telling that these are the some of the means for performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. So he declares it highest perfectional stage. So this is a very important purport. This shloka is analyzed in many ways by different acharyas. Srila Prabhupada has given a very simple but very pointed understanding. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes on to another depth. Baladev Vidyashagoshan goes on to another depth. But it's sufficient to understand Srila Prabhupada's focus here. So the point is, bhakti is superior. It's superior than even that yoga, which was superior to karma, jnana, and tapasya, which was described in the 46. So at this point, I would like to actually make an exercise. Let us quickly review these yoga paths by a table. Actually, I want to show you that table, and you have to tell different aspects of these yogas. Are all of you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is some aspects we need to identify in each of the levels of yoga ladder. Like the first stage is called as karmi, or the animalistic life. Okay, that was the stage which was described. Then the second is karma kanda. Then there is karma yoga. Then there was jnana yoga. then Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Now let us quickly point out certain features in each of these practices. Like in this one, first one, I got this very nice description. I have put that for Karmi. So, can someone else want to read this? And we will go this description after this again. Thank you, Prabhu. Someone else want to read? For Karmi, what is the identity? What does he understand himself as? It is
body, Dehatma Buddhi, Prabhuji.
yeah. He understands himself as body. He doesn't have any understanding of soul. Now, what is his goal of life? What is described here? Please read.
Material happiness.
Material. He just wants happiness, which is connected with the body. So what does he do to get that goal, the practice? Read this.
Works hard, doesn't necessarily follow Shastri.
He works hard. If Shastra helps, he will do. If he doesn't care, he doesn't so much worry about always to follow Shastra. Okay, that's practice. Now, every yoga path has an advantage and has a possible trap, you can say. I have put the word as trap because it's kind of a deflection, a very great allurement there could be. So the path of karma doesn't have any advantage. It just keeps one bound in this world. And surely there is a lot of absorption in the matter which happens. Now, let us start going to write these empty cells. And I request devotees to raise hand and answer this. Okay, let us make this exercise so that we all understand, okay, each of these stages are progressing in what sense and how one stage is better than the earlier stage, like that. Okay, so in Karma Kanda method, what does one understand himself as? Body?
Body only, Prabhuji.
Body only? Anyone?
Body. No, actually soul, Prabhuji, because he wants to get
Okay.
transferred to a higher planets.
Karma Kandi has an understanding of soul. He knows that he will take another material body in next life. He knows the understanding of afterlife. So he knows that he is soul. Okay. But what is his goal? What is the goal of a Karma Kandi? Please, others also speak out. Whatever you understand.
Follow the rituals. Follow the rituals.
Higher planets. Okay. What kind of happiness is that higher planets? Is that the earlier ones only?
Fruitive results.
Fruitive results. Okay, let's put it fruitive results. Or in other simple word, it is material happiness only. He is desiring happiness at the level of this material world only. We may call it fruitive, but it's nothing different than karmi. But only in difference is his identity. He knows he is soul. But his goal is not very refined. Now, what does he do as a practice? What is his practice of the Karma Kandi?
He performs everything as per scriptures, Prabhu.
Oh, very good.
Follows the rituals.
Rituals. What type of Shastric injunctions does he follow?
For the material benefits or for liberation.
Karma Kanda rituals.
Karma Kanda scriptures or rituals. Yeah, that's the right word. Okay. Karma Kanda rituals. There are so many Shastras, especially the 4 Vedas. They describe a lot about this. Krishna told also, Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham. Is it not that words was told by Krishna? I'm just putting whatever is being spoken by devotees and coming. I'm not prepared this in that sense. So, is there any advantage in Karma Kanda compared to Karmi?
Higher planets?
Okay, higher planets. Okay.
At least he's performing as
he will get some knowledge about the scriptures.
Yeah, that's the very good point. Actually, he has accepted scripture. That's a very good step he has taken. So scripture he has accepted. Scriptural authority he has accepted. If scripture is saying something, he follows it. And sometimes he also observes, oh, scripture is telling something beyond this material world. He gets a doubt in his goal. Maybe I think I should also try for that. He thinks about like. So he has accepted scriptural authority, and that way he also thinks sometimes about spiritual knowledge. Okay. Now, disadvantage, any disadvantage Karmakandi can have?
Same,
path of
Prabhuji,
what trap?
he will fall.
Rebirth.
Rebirth. Okay, rebirth surely. Fine. Any other?
Always
Rebirth,
in
surely.
self-gratification, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Fruitive mentality.
Fruitive mentality. Yes, true. He gets so much hooked on to desiring life after life, the material happiness. He is so much aiming towards swarga like that. He gets caught up in that. Like Prachina Barishad, there was one great king who kept desiring so much of material happiness, all like her. Okay, so is this clear? Is this exercise going good?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Resting will make it better. So because we are almost concluding this study of the yogas, I thought let's summarize it. So karma yoga. So what is a karma yogi's identity about himself, understanding about himself?
Soul, Prabhuji.
Soul and super soul also?
No, about himself. What does he understand about himself? What is the self for him?
Okay, soul.
Soul.
He thinks himself.
He is bound in the body. Soul bound in the body. He kind of understands that there is so much of trouble given by this body, inside which the soul is placed. He understands. So what's his goal? Karma Yogi's goal is what?
To get liberated, Prabhuji.
That's an important difference here. He is not desiring material happiness. His goal has refined compared to the earlier stage. So what's his practice? What's Karma Yogi's practice?
That he surrenders the results of his actions to the God. Or he does everything in the consciousness.
He has no attachment to the results.
Very good. So he has no attachment to results. So he performs duties, right? But with no attachment to results. Okay. That's his practice. Okay. He may have little bhakti practice also, because that's necessary in all the paths, karma yoga, jnana yoga. But his main practice is this. Okay. What's the advantage or elevating aspect?
No attachment to results.
No attachment to results. So what does it give him?
Higher planets.
No.
He's closer to Bhakti.
Closer to Bhakti. So actually he doesn't become bound by the results of
reaction.
Is it not? So no bondage to karma. That's the advantage or elevating aspect. Any disadvantage karma yogi can have? Anything that he can get caught up in? Anything that he can get caught up in?
Prabhuji, he can slip from his path.
Okay. Can get slipped from his path. That could happen in any of these things.
He can be a impersonalist.
Okay, actually,
because his goal is liberation.
Okay, let me just put it. Otherwise, it will go endless. He gets attached to the action, but not to the results of action. He is just attached to action. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Okay, results. ठीक है, देना है किसी को लेने दो. But he is attached to the action. That attachment to action is very much there in Karma Yogi. That's why Varnashrama is elevating slowly that person from that attachment, purifying it because of practice of bhakti. Like that. Someone else was telling something, Prabhu. Yeah, some Prabhu.
He is not progressing from this Karma Yogi approach. Advancement.
See, this possible trap is something which holds that jiva from progressing from that path ahead.
Yeah.
That's how you should think. Like fruity mentality, that's what holds a karma kandi from becoming a karma yoga. Karma yoga, in this attachment to action, that's what holds him from becoming a next stage. That is that jnana yoga. So please think in that direction. I hope that definition is clear. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. We are already
Yes, Prabhuji.
to the end of time now. Identity. Jnana yogi. So what is the Jnana yogi's understanding of about himself?
Acquiring knowledge.
No. What does he
Same
understand
soul.
himself as? Soul. Okay, soul.
Soul,
Soul.
Prabhuji.
Soul, but bounded with body.
That's true. Soul. Now let me refine this. Soul, which is actually part of Brahman. He starts now. He is understanding. Okay, yeah, I belong. What is that? Yeah, I come from that Brahman. I have to go back there. That's what his goal is now. So, what is the goal of Jnana Yogi?
Accumulating knowledge.
No, to get
goal.
merged with Brahman. To get merged with Brahman.
To get liberation or to get merged in Brahman. Yeah, that's the word. This liberation meaning gets evolved from Jnana, Ashtanga, and all like that. So, this liberation is impersonal liberation. What's the practice of such a Jnana Yogi? What does he do as his practice of
Read scriptures, follow scriptures.
Accumulate knowledge.
Scriptures, but the scriptures
And
are more of
renunciation.
impersonal in nature. Yeah, renunciation.
Renunciation.
Renunciation. He has actually
worldly activities
also. See, Karma Yogi, he had attachment to action, but in Jnana Yoga, he renounced the action also. So, very importantly, he has renounced the action.
Does that mean he does not do anything, Prabhuji, in the world? Like,
yeah. Does not
so basically,
do,
like how the saints who live in Himalayas are like that way.
They could be yogis or jnanis. We cannot know, but yeah, surely they don't do any duties of varnashram. That's why they are
No varnashrama duties. Okay.
Yeah, no varnashram. Renounce the action. That's what it means. So speculation is another important practice. They speculate about the
mental
world.
Speculation.
Mental speculation. Exactly, the word mental has to be added here. Mental speculation. They may read certain shastras which are of that nature. Scriptures which actually promote which titillate one's intelligence, like Upanishads. They don't really understand the true purpose of that. Now, what's the advantage of a Jnana Yogi? What is it that is the benefit compared to this one here? Yes. He has actually developed
some knowledge about God.
Yeah,
He developed
he has begun his understanding.
No reaction, like bondage of reaction. There is nothing.
Bondage has gone, Mataji, in Karma Yoga stage only. Means because he's developed the detachment from results. So bondage.
No rebirth, Prabhuji. No rebirth. No rebirth.
Yeah, no rebirth. Yeah. So what essentially I'm looking for is he has become actually detached from the actions.
Okay.
And he has begun to understand absolute truth as Brahman. Someone really told that nice point. His understanding about absolute truth has started getting blossomed. So he has started understanding the impersonal nature or impersonal realization of absolute truth. Now, what could be the disadvantage or possible trap? He gets stagnated because of that. That is, he enters Brahma Jyoti and he thinks that he has merged in that Brahma Jyoti. And there he stays there. He doesn't make that progress. So that is the merging in Brahma Jyoti. This is actually explained in by Goswami.
So what happens to these souls, Prabhuji? Do they have to come back to become bhakti yogis?
They actually, it's very difficult to come out of that stage unless they get a
Oh.
higher association.
So how will
So-
they get the association in the Brahman?
That's very difficult. That's why it is told that a jiva has to very carefully cultivate his spiritual practices.
Path.
The Goswamis, there is a very nice description about 6 Goswamis in the Shad Goswami Ashtakam. Kaivalya Nistarakau. There is a word like that. No? Kaivalya Nistarakau means they actually save the jivas from this Kaivalya, which is merging in Brahmacharya. Because they taught the Bhakti Shastras and they saved the jivas from this trap of Kaivalya. Actually, it's an experience of only Sat aspect or an experience of eternity, but there is no higher experience. So jiva can
Basically,
really,
no rasa.
no relationships. True.
Mm.
Okay, let's go ahead. Ashtanga Yogi, how does he understand himself as?
Soul is a part of Paramatma, Prabhu.
Soul is a part and parcel of Lord or Paramatma. Paramatma. You can now try to think about what is the next one. Okay. In Bhakti, what is that self-understanding which is better than Ashtanga Yoga? Okay, take it. Let's see what's the goal of Ashtanga Yoga.
Siddhi.
To
Siddhi.
realize Paramatma?
To get siddhis.
Correct. So it's a liberation which is oriented towards attaining Param Gatim. You remember that the word was often coming. Param Gatim. That is actually the supreme abode, liberation from material world or supreme abode. Let me write that word. That's the better word. Actually, Siddhi is not a goal. It is the last one. What is that? Trap.
Disadvantage. Okay.
It's a trap. It is something which people desire when they lose track of the real goal.
Okay.
The supreme board or Param Gatim is the goal. What do they practice? Yeah.
Asanas.
Yeah, asanas.
Yogas.
They are
Mystic
the
power.
8 limbs. Basically,
Ashtanga.
all those 8
8
limbs are the practices. No?
So how,
Yeah,
Prabhuji, this supreme abode is different from Vaikuntha Loka or Goloka
It is
Vrindavan?
Vaikuntha. It is Vaikuntha.
Oh, Vaikuntha only. Okay.
Yeah, it's Vaikuntha only. It is Vaikuntha. But sometimes that word may not be very explicit in description. Okay. So, what is the advantage or elevating aspect here? Let's see who can point. How is his better than Jnana?
Realization of Paramatma.
He has started understanding absolute truth as a person. Personal realization. How do I write it? Personal understanding of absolute.
Paramatma realization.
Correct. That's what it means. Okay. Let me just put that. That's the first step of personal understanding. The highest is the next one. Paramatma realization. The trap is, someone already told it. What was that?
Siddhis.
Desiring some material perfection, the siddhis. Actually, a yogi can become so distracted. Wow, as I'm practicing this, I'm getting so many powers. This is so wonderful. And he gets lost from actually his goal, because of that siddhis. Ashta siddhi or 8, I think. Anyway, siddhis. Now, Bhakti Yogi, let's come to really the subject of our interest. Yeah.
Realize,
What's that?
he understand what Bhagwan.
No, identity. Let's come one by one.
Soul.
What does he understand himself as?
Soul, Prabhuji.
Soul.
Soul and the servant of Krishna.
He is the servant, Krishna and Nityadas, Supreme Lord, that is Bhagavan. Yes. What's his goal?
Service, devotional service.
Goloka.
Goloka?
Yes.
Please
Devotional
Krishna.
service, Prabhu.
To please Krishna.
Devotional service through to please Krishna. Yeah, all of you are right. Surely it is supreme abode also, that is spiritual world, and especially it is to please Krishna. This is gradation in goes. You need not say one is superior above other, because Lord also desires that we all reach back to in spiritual world.
So,
But most importantly, the jiva in Bhakti Yoga stage, he desires to please Krishna. If it is a desire of Krishna to keep him in material world and fulfill some mission, he is happy to do it.
so Prabhu, Ashtanga Yoga also, supreme abode is the goal. What is the difference? He doesn't want to please Krishna, or I mean, is there an essential difference there?
Yes, that's the point.
Okay.
His goal is not necessarily pleasing. He just wants to leave
Wants
this
to be there.
and go to
Okay.
spiritual. That's it. Okay. Actually, in Ashtanga Yoga, one may enter the preliminary rasas of Shanta.
Oh.
I'm not expanding on it because
Okay.
there is too much there. But in the Bhakti Yoga, there is Dasya, Sakhya, that and all comes, that higher rasas. Anyway, practice
Devotional service. 9 limbs of devotion.
9 ways of devotion. Yeah,
Devotion.
9 limbs. Shravanam, Kirtanam, all that. Advantage, there's so much of advantage. What's the advantage here?
Mercy of Lord.
So many
the one-
services for Krishna.
Mercy of the Lord. In fact, the mercy of Lord starts coming, the help from Lord start coming from Ashtanga Yoga stage only. Prabhupada says that the special advantages of the path of bhakti are not available for impersonalists. He says it in Ishopanishad, how Lord protects, how Lord nourishes, how Lord takes special attention to his devotee. If something is lacking in the devotee, Lord will provide. He preserves. There is so much of hand holding by Lord, caring by Lord. So that is all an advantage. Any disadvantage or trap?
Nothing.
Not. Actually, one is so much attracted to the actual nature of the Supreme Lord that he just wants to serve, and he derives unlimited happiness. So the point is, we can go on analyzing these yoga paths. We have seen this in so many shlokas and purports, and what we just now did in this last 15 minutes or so is a very glimpse of it. We have studied this in this last 6 chapters. So the point is, Krishna has described all these yoga paths to help us appreciate bhakti in minute detail. And as you progress ahead in the study of Bhagavadgita, that is 7th chapter onwards, you will appreciate now the bhakti as a focused subject. Now what was happening is you were checking, इससे भी अच्छा है, इससे भी अच्छा है, like that. It was a comparative study. Now you go to the bhakti specifically, and you delve into what is the nature of bhakti. That comes from 7th chapter. In fact, from here, the spotlight shifts to the nature of Supreme Lord, his qualities, the energies or potencies, and the inconceivable nature of the Lord. All that description comes from 7th chapter onwards, and it culminates in the affection of the Lord to his devotees. Sometimes even in unconditional sense, Lord loves his devotee. The 9th chapter that goes to that summit. So there is a different grades of bhakti which is described in Bhagavadgita. Maybe in future you will be learning this. So the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the type of bhakti described in the first 6 chapter is gauna. It is something very preliminary understanding of. But as you see in 7th and 8th, it is much better. And the highest comes in the 9th. And again, it comes in 18th also, same aspect. So like this, Bhagavad Gita is essentially teaching us bhakti. In this first 6 chapters, we saw how all other yoga paths are showing their fingers. This is what we are aiming towards. This is where we are going to. And we want to take you to. So that's the explanation or understanding of bhakti. The bhakti of a karma yogi is he offers the results to Supreme Lord Krishna. The bhakti of a jnana yogi is he thinks about Krishna by his intelligence. The bhakti of a ashtanga yogi is he meditates about Krishna by his use of mind. But what is that actual nature of bhakti? That will be from 7th chapter. Okay, so there is so much which we can describe about bhakti, especially from Bhagavadgita view only. So today we are concluding the discussion of this 6th chapter. In this 6th chapter, we have studied so much. There is so much description about the Ashtanga Yoga, especially how bhakti is superior to Ashtanga Yoga. And then there was explanation about how Ashtanga Yogi transforms into Bhakta. If you remember, there was a shloka in the series which was 30 and 31, which showed how Ashtanga Yogi transforms into Bhakta. And later there was some questions by Arjuna, 33, one type of question, and another type is in 37. Krishna answered it beautifully. And at the end of this chapter, Krishna showed the topmost Ashtanga Yogi or a yogi. A yogi is already superior to karma, jnana, and tapasya. But among the yogis, the topmost is devotee. Yogi nama api sarvesha. Okay. So in this sense, we have covered the 6th chapter. I just want to quickly review one last thing. I'm sorry for taking this extra minute. In the whole of 6 chapters, what we studied is here, in essence, one type of essence. It's not really that. Someone please read this. The table can be skipped from reading, just the title of it is sufficient. Please read.
Arjuna asks Krishna to show the opponents and later gets bewildered, loses determination to fight, laments.
That's the first chapter's explanation, right? In essence, that's what happened. Next.
Arjuna's argument to not fight and Krishna's refutation.
So there were some reasons which Arjuna had given, and Krishna kind of answered to those reasons in 2nd and 3rd. Then, little below, after
Process
table.
of Nishkama Karma Yoga leading to transcendental knowledge explained.
Yeah. Continue.
Arjuna's question on work or renounce and Krishna's reply on ease and superiority of Bhakti Yogi in contrast with Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga.
So like this, the 6 chapters are in fact considered as the lower lid of that jewel box. The top lid is the last 6 chapters. And now we are going to enter the real mid 6 chapters, the essence. And I really thank all of you for your patience. Whatever we studied, we tried to.
118 and 119 slides, Prabhuji, once what we have just compared all the cross.
Okay. So, whatever we try to discuss, it's all based on Srila Prabhupada's words. If we have learned something, we should understand, we should be very grateful to our acharyas who have given such confidential understandings, which take sometimes lifetime to understand. I know this yoga ladder, though we speak it very analytically, it takes lifetimes to cross through. And by the association and mercy of great souls, we have understood at least the identity and goal. Practice we are trying to do, we are sometimes falling off and things like that. But nonetheless, there is a great help provided by Supreme Lord through his devotees, through the Shastras, especially through the Gurus. We are very grateful to them. In this discussion, whatever I tried to present, if it has inspired you, please know that that's all the words of our acharyas and parampara. And if there is something which has served the opposite interest, in the sense if it has confused or something, I beg pardon. That's because of me. And I request that you could ask your doubts if you have, or you can also consult the local teachers. That's the best way to learn. And I request all of you, blessings so that I try to practice a little of this. Thank you very much. We will be meeting on Friday for shloka test. It will be the test of those 6 shlokas. So your exams will be decided. Dasarash Prabhu will convey that.
Conveyed, yes.
Ways Anantagopa Prabhu already spoke to me. So dates were finalized on 16th and 23rd for CBA and OBA. That is already communicated.
Yes.
Thank you,
Wonderful. All the best. I really appreciate all of your patience amidst your really busy schedules. And I thank the Supreme Lord and especially Srila Prabhupada coming in the light, all the Acharyas and Gurus for giving me an opportunity to delve on this subject. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Prabhuji, the
Hare
table
Krishna,
is very
Prabhuji.
useful, Prabhuji.
Yes,
The
Prabhuji.
last
Thank you, Prabhuji.
exercise was very
It's
useful
just
because
something which all of you just did and we just filled it.
because it's a little confusing as we just pick up the Gita and read. It was confusing to me. Now this it's clear, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
There are so many good guidebooks you can all study. Whatever I try to pick is also from them. There is guidebook by His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, His Grace Gaurang Priya Prabhu, His Grace Burijan Prabhu. You should all study that. Thank you. Hare Krishna. We will meet
Hare
on
Krishna.
Friday,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
6:30 for shloka test.
Friday and Saturday, both the days, Prabhuji, basically. So whoever could not
He
finish
will
on
float the
Friday,
details.
we'll do it. I will convey that information to everyone. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.